Hello, Soundcheck. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast Soundcheck with me, Diwash Gahatraj, and I'm extremely happy to share that my last two episodes were very well received and we got more than 200 downloads within few days.
Soundcheck with Diwash Gahatraj.
And today in my third episode, I have with me a very dear old friend of mine, Nishaant Singh. Nishaant plays the Pakhawaj, a traditional Indian drums. Nishaant, welcome you to my podcast. Thank you so much, brother, for being a part of this show.
Thank you so much. It's really nice and I'm very happy to get connected with you after so many years.
Absolutely. And what better way to connect over through, that music is the best connector.
Exactly.
So Nishaant, how are you doing and where are you currently?
I'm at Kolkata right now. I have my institute out here in Kolkata and I'm also working as a guest professor in Vidya Mandir College in Belur Math. I'm also working as a freelancer in my institute and I'm also teaching online these days.
Super. You know why I wanted to do this podcast with you? Because of the instrument, Pakhawaj. Did I pronounce it correct?
It's Pakhawaj. The ancient name of this instrument is Mridang.
Okay, so Nishaant, can you just tell me what inspired you to pick up this very rare instrument?
Actually, I belong to folk musicians family. So I'm the fourth generation in my family in music. We practice the Madal, Madali Geet and Maruni Nach. And we have a huge joint family where my uncle, my kaka and bada, we all practice this music, folk music. And my father, he learned this Madal since his childhood. And he was the first person to create the notation system in this instrument. So he wanted me to learn an Indian classical instrument, Pakhawaj, because Pakhawaj and Madal is very much connected. The shape and size is similar. So
Madal is typically a Eastern Himalayan areas instrument, right? It's a drum played typically by the Nepali Gorkha community.
Yes. There are two types of Madal. One is Paschime, that is Kathmandu, the smaller one, which is commercially used in films also. And one is Purbiya Madal, because Darjeeling is Purva to Kathmandu. So it's called Purbiya Madal, and the Madal is it's bigger in size. And it sounds same like Pakhawaj. And it also belongs to the same family.
Okay, awesome. I remember R.D. Burman also using the smaller format of the Madal.
Yes.
In one of his music. I'm forgetting the name of the song, but yeah. So that is the history of Madal. So how did you come across Pakhawaj?
My family already was into music, folk music. And my father, he wanted me to learn an Indian classical instrument. And he was the first person to create the notation system of this Madal. It was a folk instrument, so a folk instrument usually doesn't have any notation system, but he tried to invent the notation system in this, and for that he had to learn the Indian classical music as well as the tabla, and he also has some knowledge in Pakhawaj. So he wanted me to continue the research work of Madal actually. He wanted me to discover new composition system because the Madal, it's an accompanying instrument and he wanted to make this Madal as a solo instrument so that we can also give a solo performance as well. And then he wanted me to learn this instrument Pakhawaj when I came to Shantiniketan. So that's how I started learning.
Okay, nice. So you did your music study in Vishwabharati Sangeet Bhavan?
Yes.
And your subject was Pakhawaj?
Yeah. I actually also had tabla. I had to learn two instruments simultaneously. I had done my honors in tabla and Pakhawaj, and we also had to learn Tagore music and the Tagore studies as well.
Yeah. So Nishaant, I was going through your pictures and videos, so I found something very interesting, and that I wanted to ask, why is that atta dough pasted in one end of the drum?
Yeah, actually this instrument instrument was discovered by Lord Vishwakarma during the Natya Shastra period, and this instrument was invented in this formation, and the base of the instrument was created by the atta, the dough actually, because they did not want the instrument to vibrate in a heavy tone. They wanted a dull sound actually. In Pakhawaj, we use our right hand a lot, and we have a lot of syllables in towards our right hand, but the left hand is just a supporting instrument. In drums, like there's a kick in a drum, so even this dull sound of the bass, it gives the kick and enhances the right hand syllables actually.
So Nishaant, what is the mythological reference about Pakhawaj in the Indian culture?
Not only Pakhawaj, but even all the instruments are connected to the mythological stories. We get the references from the Natya Shastra, which was written during 3rd century. And this Shastra is the only Shastra which we can refer it right now, and we don't have other Shastras. We had a Shastra called Sangeet Ratnakar after that, but we really don't have any genuine Shastra. The Natya Shastra was written by Maharshi Bharat, and he had written that this instrument was created by Lord Vishwakarma, because Vishwakarma was the engineer for the gods.
Yeah. He was the Hindu god of engineering and all the creation, right?
Exactly. So there was a Maharshi, his name was Swati. He used to go to a lake to bring some water for his ashram every day. A day when he went out to bring some water, he looked at the sky, and suddenly the sky was so dark and it was about to rain. And then when he went out of his ashram to bring water, then suddenly he felt some rain. The rain were of different sizes. Some were small, some were quite big droplets. And when he reached in the lake was filled with lotus flowers. The lotus leaves are quite big. As the rain droplets were striking the lotus leaves, at that time a different kind of sound production was created. At the same time, the clouds were very dark and it was creating a thunderous sound. Lightning effects were there, and it made him just go into that sound. He loved that sound so much that he had that power to capture all those sounds within him, because there was no recorders at that time, but they had such powers that they could capture those sounds within them. So he captured all those sounds, and then he came back bringing his drinking water from the lake, and then he came to his ashram, and then he thought all the way that he wanted such kind of leather instrument which could produce all these combination of sounds. So he came to his ashram, and then he sat for the meditation, and he called Lord Vishwakarma for this, and then he requested Lord Vishwakarma to create such an instrument which has all these sound qualities. So he even gave a demonstration of these sounds, as he had bought all the sounds capturing from there. And so the first instrument which was created was Pushkar. The name was Pushkar, and it was just like Pakhawaj or Madal, only the shape and size was a bit different. It was like a shape of a fish, a spindle shape of. It was a barrel shaped drum which could be struck from both the ends. So after the Pushkar, there was an instrument called Tripushkar, which was also created by Lord Vishwakarma. Shape and features of these Tripushkar was the kind of madal which we see. Just imagine two tablas from above.
Okay.
Yeah, the system was like we could play horizontally and vertically both. Later on, the mridang, which was attached on top of the barrel-shaped drum, was detached from the body of this barrel-shaped drum, and then later on this became tabla.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That's why the mridang has been divided into three categories. One is the Ankik Mridang. The Anka in Sanskrit is our lap. So the instrument which we keep it on our lap or just in front of our lap is the Ankik Mridang. So this was the first category. The second category was Urdhvak, the drum which faced the sky. So all the drums which are facing sky like tabla or djembe or congas, thumbas or any kind of leather instrument was named Urdhvak Mridang. And then the third one was the Alingya Mridang. So the Alingya Mridang are those mridangas which we can hug the instrument with one hand, like the Arabian darbuka.
Yes, I was about to start telling.
Yeah, the Arabian darbukas. And also the instruments which we carry on our necks.
Okay.
Yeah, all these mridangas was named Alingya Mridang. So these are the three different categories of the mridang at that time.
Oh, awesome, man. Awesome. That's an awesome history.
Yeah. So this is how the instrument was changed according to the...
as we progressed and as we got more and more developed, the shape and the size of the...
Yeah. Evolving. So this was the new concept of making the Pakhawaj. Later on, the body of the mridanga was made up of mud actually. In Sanskrit, mrit is soil and the anga is the body. So both the mrit and anga means mridang. So the body was made up of mud.
Okay.
And then later on, this had lot of demerits. So the musicians, they tried to make the instrument out of metal also, but the sound from the metal body was not so good. Then they tried to make it in wood. So after medieval period, we get all the instruments made up of wood.
Because wood has its own sound, no?
Yeah.
Woody sound.
Actually, the sound quality of the mud is also better, but it's really hard to take care of it because they had started working in courts. So there were a lot of court musicians who used to travel later on during the medieval period. So they wanted such instrument which would not break actually, which could be easily handled. So this is how the Pakhawaj was made after the mridanga.
Wow. So much of interesting history that you shared with me today. It's so fantastic. So Nishaant, in South India in Carnatic music we have mridangam. Is it just a nomenclature that Pakhawaj and mridangam are the same instrument, or are they just different names?
No, it's not the same instrument actually. The family is same. Mridangam, it belongs from South India, Carnatic classical music, and the sound production is also different from Pakhawaj. Pakhawaj is much more open. The sound is much more open, and the mridangam has sound which has less frequency or less sustain than the Pakhawaj. The finger techniques are also different from the Pakhawaj. Mridangam is much more tabla oriented.
Buddy, I'm dying to hear you play the mridangam. Can you play a small piece for me?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Nishaant. That was really awesome. If you could be in this room, I would have shown you how goosebumps that I'm getting right now. So Nishaant, tell me, is there any typical style of playing that you do?
Yeah, I play the style of Lala Keval Kishan Gharana. It's the very ancient style. This gharana was formed during 15th century, and Lala Keval Kishan Gharana was named much later on. It was known as the Kodhiya Gharana of Mathura, Braj Mathura. So this gharana came from Braj Mathura. Kodhia, he was a person who was suffering from leukoderma actually. He had this disease in him, and those times people didn't want such person to stay in their village. They just threw him out of the city. He used to stay in the caves. And during that time, Vallabhacharya was there in Vrindavan. And then during his meditation, Vallabhacharya could see a person who was suffering from such a disease, and he wanted to bless that person with the Pakhawaj. And he went to the cave where that person was living, and Vallabhacharya, he blessed that person. The person's name is unknown because he was known as Kodhia. As you know, Kod in Hindi,
Leprosy, right? Kod means leprosy.
yeah, leprosy. So they call Kod in Hindi, so they used to call him Kodhiaji. Kodhiaji was blessed by Vallabhacharya, and those days a person didn't have to sit in before his guru and learn everything. They just used to get blessed and everything was transferred.
Wow, that kind of power, huh?
Yeah, that kind of power was there. Vallabhacharya then wanted Kodhiaji to promote art of Pakhawaj to be spread all over Mathura and Vrindavan. Kodhiaji had two sons, Lala Keval Kishan and Lala Har Kishan. Lala Keval Kishan was very much fond of traveling, and he used to travel towards Kolkata and sometimes towards Lucknow also. But Harkishan ji loved to stay at home. He didn't travel a lot. He had spread this culture within his own hometown. And Lala Keval Kishan ji, he came out of that locality, and then he went out, and then he started roaming around Kolkata. And then there were some Chakravarti brothers at that time. They were from the Zamindar families, Ramchandra Chakravarti, Nimai Chandra Chakravarti, and Nitai Chandra Chakravarti. These were the three Zamindar brothers in Calcutta, and this was the only Zamindar family who organizing the Indian classical music in their family, or the whole Kolkata, you can say. This was the only festival in Kolkata at that time. So Lala Keval Kishan ji came to visit their home, and then he just sat there and listened to all these Bangla Dhrupad, and because at that time there was only Dhrupad music and there was no such Khyal music at that time. The Bangla Dhrupad was at its peak at that time. Lots of performances were held at that time, and then Keval Kishan ji just enjoyed and he stayed, and after the program everyone had left, but only Lala Keval Kishan ji was there. And then all these three Chakrabarti brothers, they came, and then they asked Lala Keval Kishan ji, they asked about him, where he had come from, and they wanted his introduction. And then he said that I'm from Braj Mathura and I had come to Kolkata just to roam around. I wanted to explore new places, and then I just heard this Indian classical going around here, so I just visited and I really liked, but there were some problems in the Pakhawaj playing, the accompaniment, because Bengal was not so good in accompaniment at that time. The Pakhawaj which was played in Bengal was neither a solo instrument nor a accompanying instrument. So the materials which were played in the Pakhawaj at that time was very poor. Lala Keval Kishan ji just told them that the accompaniment portion was very weak, and they wanted to know that how come he could know about Pakhawaj so much. After a lot of requests, then Keval Kishan ji told that he was also a Pakhawaji. At that moment, three brothers were stunned. Then they really wanted to hear him. Lala Keval Kishan ji then played Pakhawaj after such requests. After hearing his magnificent Pakhawaj playing, then they were just mesmerized and they wanted to learn from him. So the Zamindar people were very rich at that time, and they could just keep any musicians at their home and they could learn from them. This became a tradition in Kolkata at that time. So this is how the tradition in Kolkata flourished.
And Nishaant, you belong to this gharana, right? Lala Keval Kishan ji gharana.
Yeah, I belong to this same gharana, because after that I would like to give you the sequence of the musicians, and you will be very excited to know some names. Like there was a very renowned artist Murari Mohan Gupta ji, who learned from these Chakravarti brothers, and then after Chakravarti brothers, even Swami Vivekananda learned this style from them. So he belonged to the same style. I also play the same style which Swamiji had learned at that time. So it's really a great honor for me to learn this style in Bengal. And right now at this point of time, like I'm the only youngest Pakhawaj player in this Kolkata, or you can say even in India, who can play the rich compositions of Swami Vivekananda and Lala Kishanji's compositions. Yeah.
Wow, super cool, man.
And that is how I came to Kolkata actually.
What an incredible journey you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Nishaant, I wanted to ask this question to a Hindustani classical musician, which I'll ask you today.
Yes.
How do you become a Ustad?
Ustad and Pandit are the equal respects. Pandits belong to the Hindu gharana and the Ustads, they belong to the Muslim gharana. But the title is equal.
So is there some, do you need some amount of training and you need to have some amount of, playing time to become such one?
Yes. Actually, person has to be a maestro actually. It can be a vocal, it can be an instrument, or it can be a dance. And it has to be exceptional, just out of the world. A wow factor should be there. And then this title was usually given by the All India Radio at that time. So All India Radio is the only authority which gives the title of Ustad or the Pandit when the artist becomes A grade or the top graded artist.
Top graded artist, yes, I know what you mean.
It starts from the A grade actually. So when a person qualifies the A grade audition, then the person is sent a letter with a vote of congratulations, and then he is given the title of Pandit or the Ustad.
Wow, thank you so much for clearing this. So how far are you from reaching and becoming the Ustad, Nishaant?
This is a critical question. Well, I'm trying to excel, but I'm not thinking about becoming an Pandit or the Ustad. That will be judged by the people, or that can be judged by the All India Radio at some time. But I feel I should do my work and I should promote my gharana. I think my work will speak later on.
Definitely that will speak. Your work is speaking actually, and you are a fantastic musician. So Nishaant, what is your future plans? What next from here?
Future plans are, as I said, like I'm the only person in Bengal right now to follow this tradition. There are good Pakhawaj players in Kolkata, in West Bengal, but they have just dispersed from the gharana system. They have developed their own style and it has been detached from our style. So I want to promote and preserve this style of my own, and I want to promote this style in such a wide way that I want many artists or many people to learn this instrument or this style. And I'm also doing some research works in this instrument as well. I've made some documentaries.
Wow, I really had a very, very intelligent conversation with you, Nishaant. Thank you so much for letting us know the history of Madal, Mridangam, Tabla, and of course Pakhawaj.
Thank you so much.
So guys, that's it for the day. I'll be back soon with another interesting musical story. Till then, take good care of yourself. Bye.